Hello, Emma. How's it going?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good. How's my boy?
He says, I'm always great, Mama. How are you?
I
Being
know.
a
I'm
new
doing.
grandma.
I know, you guys. Okay, here's the lowdown. My little girl, my eldest, just had her first baby, Harper Lee Brawley. She's adorable. I posted on social media if you want to check it out, and I posted yesterday a little video of her right after birth. But I am taking care of her two dogs, and I cannot promise you that five dogs won't go apeshit crazy every once in a while. I'm hoping not. I'm giving them the evil eye. But anyway, we'll try to make this the best we can. So, can we start out with the second part of Hugh Hefner?
Sure. He
All
says,
right,
let me go get him, Mom.
go get him
Let me go get him at the green room.
in the green room. There we go. In his robe and ascot.
He's saying hello again.
Oh, hello again. So glad you can make it twice in a row. Appreciate it. Because you got a lot to say, so we had to divide it into a couple of a couple of sessions. So let's start out with me asking you the next question. Could you please tell us what plans were made for the Playboy Mansion before your passing?
Well, for me, I really wanted it to be passed on to my children. And then, really, it didn't matter what they did with it. I was kind of hoping silently, I never really expressed it, but I was hoping that they would turn it into a museum.
I think that would be
Um,
nice.
but it doesn't look like that will be happening.
Why? What's going on? What are they doing with it?
It's being sold, or it's sold. He says
Oh, that's too
being
bad.
sold.
Well,
Uh,
maybe that person will make it into a museum. You never know.
oh no, he says it's sold or it's being sold. I'm not sure if it already is sold. I just keep seeing the word sold in
Okay.
front of me. And he's saying it was necessary to something about taxes that still needed to be
Ugh.
paid.
Oh, God damn the government. Boy, they tax you when you're alive. They tax you when you're dead. It's terrible.
Mm.
Uh, well, how many children? Who is in your will? I mean, how many people? You don't have to list them, but all your children, your couple of your wives.
Well, my four children. He's saying
Okay.
my children were my everything. They
Oh,
were when it comes to unconditional love, when it comes to loving a being just for their being, then the love for a child is just that.
oh yeah.
There's no expectations, there's no demands. You just love them. And you love them so much that sometimes your heart breaks, and just thinking about them not doing well, or getting hurt, or it could destroy you.
Tell me about
So
it. Tell me about it. So I understand. Yeah.
so
Well,
for me, my children, and some have gone into the business and some haven't. Some are staying completely out of sight. And that is okay. I just wanted them to be happy. I want them to follow their dreams and to do what they believe is right for them. And that I've always kind of, I grew up in a home. My parents were Methodists, and everything was very strict. There was no, and I might have mentioned this in the previous part, but there was no hugging, there was no
yeah.
communicating. And so when I had children, there was going to be open
Good.
communication, there was going to be clarity, there was going to be love, there was going to be hugging. But I want people to understand, a lot of people will think, well, there's all these women walking around and there's all of this going on. How do you? But to be honest, my children were all protected from that. They
Oh,
never
good.
saw the parties. They were always kept separate from, the kind of sexual exploration that was going on. So my kids really had a normal upbringing. So I just wanted to make
Oh yeah.
that clear.
Well, that's another question. Beside that, what is the biggest misconception people have about you that you'd like to clear up?
He says, that's a good question. He says, well, the biggest misconception is that it was all about getting laid.
Okay.
It was not. For me, it was about understanding human emotions. It was about understanding the psyche behind it, and how it influenced people, how it created actions and thought patterns and habits that sometimes could be negative for us, but sometimes could be positive for us. So it was
Okay.
all about psychology. It was all about the emotional understanding of a human being. And yes, did I have several women, and there were a lot of things going on, but that was exploration. That was for me observation. Sometimes, and I'm going to be completely blunt in this. I'm going to be open in this. So if I'm shocking people, I do apologize. He
Yeah.
said, but sometimes I would hire porn stars to come to my home and to make love and to have sex in different ways with different utensils with the girls. Yeah, with the girls, he says that I was with my girlfriends while I would be watching and observing them. And it did happen that some of the girls kind of had to stop because it was a little too painful. There was extreme research going on, and people are not, they're just going to say you're just a dirty pervert. But for me, it was about observation, about
Sure.
what women liked, what men liked, what worked, what didn't work. There was this whole, I was almost like, I saw myself mostly as, a researcher, somebody
Okay.
who was observing these primitives.
Yeah.
What do they do? Why do they do it? So there was a lot more behind it than just getting laid, and that's the
Okay.
one thing that I think I just wanted to clear up.
Okay. Now you've been an icon for so many men for a long time. Who are your icons? Or maybe you just have one.
My
Maybe just
icon.
name one, if any.
Um, my biggest icon, I would say Nietzsche,
Okay. Why?
because he basically turned psychology upside down,
True.
and he wasn't afraid to say, you know what, I think this is it, and I don't care what anyone else says. So he was not afraid to stand up for what he believed to be true in his, in his studies, in what he observed. And so I think, if you look at his time when all his work, when he was trying to get his work out, there was so much criticism.
Yeah.
There was so much, no, 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 that's totally bullocks, and no, no, but he fought through and he said, no, this is it, and I'm going to publish it, and I don't care what everybody thinks. And
Good.
look at it now. It is, in every college, it is
Yeah.
in every university. People know his work and truly, see in it. They understand it. They see it. They get it. And so I like to believe, that for me, in some way or form, I was very similar. I opened up the boundaries to sexual acceptance
Okay.
and to liberation of taboos and liberation of the sexual lust.
Okay.
And so, looking at it now, if you look at people, I mean, sex is an everyday thing. It is in every show. It is on all TVs. It is everywhere. And it is considered to be normal.
Yeah.
But when I was young,
It
that was
wasn't.
not normal.
That's true. All right. So, who do you think the sexiest woman you've met
So
in
I
the?
believe
Oh.
that in some way or form, although, say what?
Oh.
You froze out.
I'm gonna have to go a little we're gonna have to go a little faster. Who is the sexiest woman you've met in the last 55 years?
He says, I'm not going to answer that because they were all very sexy in their own way.
Okay. Now, in the 80s, you had a string of problems: legal, political, and financial. Did you ever think of quitting, retiring, leading a normal life?
Yes, in the 80s, the government was trying to shut me down. Political movements and women movements were trying to shut me down. There was a lot of people trying to shut me down over the years. But in the 80s, it got really bad to the point where we started losing money. We
Oh.
stopped making money. And then I had my stroke.
Oh, I didn't know
And I was
that.
confronted with
Mm.
my own mortality.
Yeah.
And so I had a moment where I said, okay, I'm going to change things. I'm going to settle down. And I got married. I settled down. It didn't last as long as a marriage should last. But that was a time that the whole 80s all the way to the beginning of the 90s where I thought that I needed to change. But I felt really fast that this changed person wasn't me. I didn't feel right. It didn't fit with me.
Okay.
Uh, and so I started to I started to go back to who I really was.
Good. How are playmates different today than they were 55 years ago?
Well, the exposure for one, people have gotten so used to seeing everything that, the pictures are a lot more graphic now. There was a lot more hiding in the old days. But I think the women have gotten to a point where they're proud to be a playmate.
Yeah.
They've gotten to a point where, hey, look at me, and they are proud of their bodies. Well, believe it or not, when I first started, I actually had to ask secretaries and people that I used to work with, hey, would you mind maybe going on a on a photo shoot? We
Yeah.
had to convince them that it wasn't going to affect their work and that it wasn't going to have a negative effect on their family. So there was a lot of convincing that, this is going to be classy and it's going to be like this. Now women would throw themselves, over the later years, women would just throw themselves and say, please, I want to be in Playboy,
Okay.
please.
Yeah. Okay.
Attitude towards being naked in a magazine has completely changed, and also the pictures and the amount of nudity has completely changed.
Okay. What's the biggest mistake men make in relationship, and what do most men fail to understand about women, in your opinion?
He says, these are all great questions. I like these questions. What we need to understand, men or women, is that a relationship is based on mutual respect and on each other's wishes. And that we all have sexual desires, we all have fantasies that we would like to explore. And even if, let's say, you have a fantasy and your partner does not you like that fantasy, maybe you can compromise and find something in between. It's all about making compromises in relationships, but it's also about respecting and accepting each other. Don't try to change your girlfriends. Don't try to change your wife, and the other way around too. A lot of times now, when we go into a relationship, he says we figure, we change ourselves, we adjust ourselves, so we believe then that the other person will stay with us. They won't leave us. And so you can only hold that on for so
I
long.
know.
You can only
Yeah.
pretend to be somebody that you're not for so long, and then during the marriage will fail because they can no longer pretend to be someone that they're not. So my best advice is open communication about everything, everything.
Okay.
Um, he says unconditional love and respect towards the other person and towards yourself. To never do anything that you do not feel comfortable with, whether or not the person that asks you to do it loves you to death. If you don't feel comfortable for it, then they need to respect each other. And truly, do always stay true to yourself. Never change for anyone in any relationship. If it doesn't work out, it's not a failure. It was just a great experience, and then you're off to a new experience.
That's right.
That's how I have to see it.
There's no failure. There's no right or wrong. Everything is an experience with a valuable lesson. All right. So, what is your idea of perfect happiness?
Being able to experience what you always want to experience. Just being able to stay true to yourself and achieve the things that you've always wanted to achieve, and reaping the joy of that, finding that balance and that peace in it.
Okay. What is your biggest fear, or what was your biggest fear, rather?
Yeah, he says, right now I don't have any more fears.
Of course not.
What was my biggest fear? That's a hard one. I didn't have a lot of fears, to be honest.
Well, like for example, did you ever
Maybe
feel?
the biggest fear,
Yeah.
he says, well, my biggest fear was not to be a good dad,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
not
And it
be a
seemed
good
like you
parent.
were. Seemed like you were. Nobody's perfect, but
I
it
think,
sounded like you were.
yeah, he says, nobody is perfect and we make mistakes and that's how we grow as a parent. But I do believe that, I tried my very best to be the best parent I could be.
And they probably knew that they were very loved, and that's important. All
That's
right.
important.
Name your biggest strength and your biggest weakness.
My biggest weakness and my biggest strength was curiosity.
Oh, interesting. So they were both. Okay. In what way could that become a weakness? I mean, curiosity, I see that as a strength, but is it like the curiosity killed the cat thing? That you would go past certain boundaries that you shouldn't have crossed?
Yes, sometimes I would take things a little too far and I would hurt people without it being my intention.
Are you talking
Sometimes
about
I would.
are you talking about sexually?
I'm talking about friendships. I'm
Oh,
talking about partnerships. I have to admit, I've disappointed certain people, and sometimes I took it too far. Sometimes my ego would kick in, and I would take it too far, and I truly admit that. But it's from those mistakes that you learn and that you grow. And sometimes my curiosity in um, he says in certain politicians, it's almost like there were politicians or it has something to do with politics
mm,
that he would discover things that he wished he hadn't discovered because then he felt unsafe because he knew this and he knew that other people knew that he knew this and
mm.
so it felt like when it came to politics, also he sometimes stuck his nose in things he shouldn't have stuck him into.
So you probably knew
But
about.
overall, it worked out fine because I was not a person who would lean into fear. I would go like, oh crap, shouldn't have done that, and I would have a fear moment for maybe a day or two, and then I'd be like, oh screw it, whatever happens happens. That was just kind of my attitude. So I never stayed stuck in
Okay,
my
good.
fear. That was my greatest. One of my greatest strengths. And yeah, being curious also leads you to great discoveries.
Sure.
You know,
Okay,
so
so did you know about JFK and or Marilyn Monroe? Any of those secrets? Is that what you're talking about? One thing you could be talking about that created fear for your life? Okay, because we know that was all about the CIA. I already know.
yeah,
Okay. All right. So what quality?
and other things that haven't been discovered yet.
Ooh. What quality do you like the most in men, and then the same with women? What's your favorite quality in men, and what is your favorite quality in women?
um, he's saying when it comes to women, I love the fact that they're unpredictable.
Okay.
They women range in every direction, and they are all very, very unique. And so every woman for me was a new discovery, a new insight in the human psyche, because women really analyze so much in their life. They are constant thinkers. They are constantly analyzing it, categorizing it, cataloging it. They have a whole library in there. And so for me, figuring out what their triggers are and trying to figure out the psyche, what led her to me, what led her to this, that was really interesting for me. Um, when it
Oh, you
came
froze. Wait.
to men,
Okay, say that. Start all over
men
again.
are
Oh
really
yeah. Okay. Men are
he says
really what? Sorry.
when it comes to men are easily satisfied.
Yeah. Women
And
are
I
not.
women are not. Women always want to reach for more. Men are easily satisfied, and in some way or form, that is kind of a charming quality because they find peace and balance a lot quicker than women do.
Mhm.
So I thought that not having the desire to constantly evolve and grow, although they do, but
Yeah.
on a lot slower pace than women do. Um, don't take this the wrong way, guys. He says, this is just an observation. He says, but they are a lot more satisfied in life because they just live more in the moment and they just feel, they're very easily satisfied. You give them a good drink, give them a good party, give them some nice women, they're happy, they're
Yeah.
satisfied. Women will always want more. And
Yeah.
because of that lust for more, because of that need of more, they make themselves unhappy in some way or form. They're never satisfied. There's always something missing in their life. And so,
I wonder,
it's a really cool contrast to see that in men and women.
I wonder why teleologically women are that way. Does it have anything to do with child rearing?
He says, well, I think it has to do with female energy is all about expansion, about growing, nurturing, feeding. And male energy is about maintaining stability.
Oh, that makes sense. All right, so real quick, because we're running out of time, I say that a lot, people, but really, seriously, sorry, it's just the way it is.
There is no time, Mom, he says,
Oh,
Erik.
yeah, yeah. All right,
Time.
did you have more friends that were male or more friends that were female?
It was about equal.
Okay. All right. Now I'm going to go through my usual spiritual type questions pretty quickly here. What was your spiritual mission here on earth as Hugh Hefner?
Well, for me, it was all about understanding human emotions, understanding
Oh,
human
yeah.
behavior, and it was about staying true to myself and really following my heart, following my own path and staying true to that, not allowing anyone to knock me off of my road, of my path of liberation. It was not just a liberation for everyone, but it was my liberation from my upbringing. I did
Yeah.
not want to become like my parents. That was
Yeah.
a nightmare in my eyes, becoming like them. I love them, but
Sure.
living the relationship that they did, no way in hell, he said. So it was my own liberation from that as well. And I think I was here for people. It's all about, he says, the sexual liberation. It was all about starting that sexual revolution, making it okay, making sex okay, making it a natural thing, a natural desire. And that it is part of our human existence. That was what I was here to teach or to kind of unlock in humanity.
And I
And
think
it,
next question was, what you were here to learn or teach. You kind of answered those. And my question after that was, did you accomplish those things? And it seems like you did. Did you?
oh yes,
Awesome.
I had I had a very successful life, he said.
You did. Do you have any regrets?
I don't actually, no.
Well, that's awesome. What was your main insight after your transition?
That it was just as much fun up here than it is down there.
Okay, good. Can you share another life that most influenced your one as Hugh Hefner?
Okay. What I don't know what they're called. Okay, so he's showing me the old days. I would probably say like the days of Mozart and all of that.
Okay.
Um, he was a man, but I don't know the English name for it, but they would used to like castrate them so they would
Oh,
continue to
eunuchs?
sing a high voice.
Oh, yeah, eunuchs. Eunuchs.
I guess I don't know the English word for it. They would
Say it in your
castrate them, and
language.
then
Say it in your language.
oh, yeah, I don't know either.
Oh no, you got caught now.
No,
Eric,
I don't know.
Eric,
I'm sorry, people. I don't know the name, but he's
okay,
just showing me how they're like snipping him,
okay.
and he's singing. So I remember a long time ago seeing a movie about something, and I think it was called Farinelli or something. It was a long time ago movie, and it was about a person like that, and he would sing. He had a beautiful voice,
Oh, awesome.
but in order to keep the high pitched voice for a man, they basically had to snip off his testicles, I guess. And so it was a life of success, but there was no love in my life, none whatsoever, because I was seen as as the freak of nature. Women, would not even approach me or touch me. So, and I didn't have a say in this. This is something that was done by his uncle, is what he's showing.
While you were conscious,
When he was a little boy, it
how
was
old?
done when he was young.
How old were you?
He's giving me 8 years old.
Oh, and were you awake during the procedure?
He says, well, I was, but they kind of knock you out with some kind of, it's like they put a mask on and they put drops on it, is what he's showing.
Okay. Oh, God,
And it was a very lonely life. I had success for my singing, but other than that, nobody wanted to have a relationship with me or have a family or anything like that. I was just a freak of nature. That's how I was seen. And so that life, it was about, I wasn't in control of my life. Somebody decided it for me. They took away my chance of a family. They took away my future in some way or form. And I wanted to come into this life and really be in control of my life and be the one who makes the decisions and have as much love as I could have. It was a lack of love, a lack of of say in your life that created this Hugh Hefner life. I still liked the attention. I liked the fame.
Oh, yeah, sure.
That's the part that I did like in that life. So I did bring that back into this one.
Were you a good singer? Were you a good singer in this last life?
I was one. Yeah, I was one of the best, he says.
No, I'm talking about as Hugh Hefner. Did you also have a good voice?
Oh, as Hugh Hefner? Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Now, do you plan on reincarnating in the near future?
Yes, I have a life, but it's not for, if you look at your lifetime, it's not for another 25 years or so. So right now, I am just still adjusting. I'm still getting comfortable in my new body, in my new state of being. So that's what I'm still doing. I'm still getting some help and therapy and guidance. So.
All right, just 3 more questions. Can you share anything new about you that nobody knows about, but you, or maybe family members or whatever?
I didn't lose my virginity till after I got married. I don't know if people know that.
Cool. How old were you? Or what decade?
He's giving me like 18 or 19. It looks like he was pretty young.
Okay. All right.
I was so open about everything. I don't think I ever had much that people didn't know. I was not a person who kept things. Everybody was open to see and explore me as who I was. That's just who I was.
Okay. Do you have a message, a final message for humanity?
He's just saying love people, it's about acceptance. And although we don't always understand certain people's sexual desires, because there's a lot of things out there that people do not tolerate or understand. He says, I'm not going to say that as if it hurts another being, that we should approve of it. However, we should help that person. We should not judge them, but we should offer them help and assistance in seeing where this desire comes from. A starting point.
And it always has. But you sort of stuttered, so you should be aware of where this.
Right. He's just saying that, we should offer them help and assistance in discovering where this desire, this strange desire comes from. There's always an underlying factor that created a desire. But, as long as it's not hurting anyone, as long as it's not hurting any animals, we should accept it. There's people who have sex with their cars. There's people who have sex with buildings.
Yeah,
okay, if
that
this is what
alluring
they're into,
tailpipe. That alluring
yeah,
tailpipe. Little KY
you know,
in that tailpipe.
vacuum cleaner or a vacuum cleaner. He says, whatever people are into, it's fine
Yeah.
as long as it doesn't hurt another being. And if it does, then we should not judge them, but instead we need to offer them help and see where this desire to hurt or dominate another person
So you
really
could just
comes from.
defile a vacuum cleaner and destroy their reputation forever. Poor Hoover. All right, now I just want to know one last thing. Does Eric, Eric, do you have any questions for Hugh, or Emma? Do you have any?
I don't have any questions for him. This is like the third time I've talked to him, so I've gotten really used to his
I
energy.
know. I know.
For me, he just feels. I mean, I know there's a lot of people who had this image of him, but for me, he really feels like a sweet man.
I've
Really
always felt
down to
that.
earth.
Yeah.
His energy for me feels very huggable. I call those huggable energies. That like you just want to give him a hug and sit
Aw.
down and have some coffee with him.
So Hugh, you can
So
come over and hug me anytime, sweetie.
oh, he's going, okay, I'll take you up on that offer. Um, yeah, Erik is just saying, I'm a little jealous of all the women that you've seen and hugged and done all kinds of fun things with, he says. I have to admit, and he says, I don't really have a question for him, but if there's one thing I think that we all miss on this side, it is that physical connection. Sex is not just sex. It is surrendering to one another. It is surrendering to the moment. And it is such a mindfulness kind of
Yeah.
act
Yeah.
that in those moments we totally lose sight of what is going on around us, what is bothering us. So people, we need to do it a little bit more lovemaking and a little less fighting.
Yeah.
And you will see that, it's not only good for your health, your physical health, but it actually releases stress and it releases all kinds of anxieties and built up negative energies. So, more lovemaking, Mom. That's what I'm here for. Keep going, because you're going to miss it once you come over here. You're going to miss that
Uh-oh. All right, well,
connection.
thank you both. Thank you, Emma. You guys check out Emma at www.emmanuelmcintosh.com, and I'll put it right here. And bye, Erik. We'll talk to you in just a second.
Okay, bye, Mom. Love you.
Bye-bye.